I'm Julie Barkey with this Senate update. It's Tuesday, March 10th, also known as ARC Day here at the Capitol. It's a day when traditionally thousands of people with disabilities and those who advocate on their behalf come to raise awareness for those with special needs. Now, in 2014, there was pressure to pass legislation providing a 5% rate increase to personal care attendants. This year, the group will lobby to extend that increase. We caught up with Senator Eken to talk about his legislation to do just that.
Well, the message is we need to continue supporting services and care for those with disabilities and seniors through the waivered services, which has been falling way behind. And as a result, we've been losing stability in the quality of care because we're seeing higher turnover in the people who are providing that care. And that's the chief issue that we're trying to address here, is making sure that we have stability in the level and the quality of care being provided, good quality care providers who are compensated adequately so that they don't leave the profession. We want good people who do a good job taking care of our most vulnerable citizens in these situations.
And the argument last session was 5% of most of the wages that these people make is still almost nothing, and they're not really in it for the money. Given this year's budget surplus, are you going to seek more than just 5%? Are you going to try to increase this a little more dramatically?
We are actually doing a 5% the first year and 5% the second year, so it does result in a total of 10%, whereas last time around it was just the 5%. So it is more that we're requesting this time, and much more needs to be done. What was done the last time with the 5% was really just to stop the hemorrhaging. It was emergency efforts, really. We need now to start doing more than just triage. We need to start addressing the underlying problems, and even the 10% still won't get us back to where it used to be. So again, it's a I guess work that we need to continue year after year to get back to where we used to be. I do have a bill in also that's designed to address the larger issue, and that includes the aging baby boom generation that are fast approaching those years when they're going to need many of these services. So, and that's something that I talked about on a previous program that we had, which would identify dedicated funding just for long-term care services. And it would come from closing a very large tax loophole that currently goes to only the highest income people. And many people may not know this, but the highest income people do not pay any Social Security tax on any of their highest income. And only the highest income people receive that special treatment. So by closing that loophole and treating the highest income people the same as everyone else, we'll be able to raise the funds necessary to ensure that those individuals with disabilities and our seniors who need long-term care get the care they need.
And it's fair to say that second proposal is going to generate a little more controversy than the first. Your first bill is bipartisan. However, will the House have any kind of an appetite for that second proposal? I mean, primarily what it's been spoken publicly is to try to give most of that money, most of the budget surplus back to Minnesotans. Will there be money to do what you're suggesting? Will there be an appetite for it?
Yeah, I think the appetite isn't as large, I would agree, in the House to do something this big. And they may have objections to the source of revenue that I have identified for dedicated funding. I guess the larger issue, though, is the issue of dedicated funding. And I'm willing to look at other options, willing to consider other ideas. But it's not enough just to say no to the idea. My proposal is really the first one that actually solves the real problem. And and I'm hoping it's not going to be the last one. I hope there's going to be many other proposals coming forward. I hope my proposal is the beginning of a larger discussion about how to address this problem.
And finally, given that you want dedicated funding, is it going to be overshadowed by the transportation issue this session? Dedicated funding in that area as well.
Right, and transportation funding is dedicated, as you said.
But they're seeking to increase the dedicated funding levels. So do you think that there's going to be, again, hate to use that term, an appetite, but do you think that the Senate can pass two increases or two different dedicated funding levels that could hit Minnesotans.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it's going to be easy, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And we should keep the issue out there and begin the discussion, as I had said. And you mentioned the transportation funding is dedicated, so funding for our roads and bridges, we have constitutionally dedicated funding for those. I think that seniors and people with disabilities also should rank right up there with roads and bridges when it comes to funding and making sure that we're providing them the care that they need.